Her body was mutilated. He removed a portion of her uterus and took it with him as a trophy.
What?
The crime scene was so extreme that the forensic photographer who processed it also had to take extended leave. So that's
Well,
two.
he took part of her insides with him. That's insanity. Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tally.
And this is Murders and Minivans.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about the murder of Rachel Nickell. And if you're not from the UK, you might not be as familiar with this name as the British listeners are. But this case has fundamentally changed how criminal investigations are conducted in England. It exposed what happens when a police force decides that it already knows who did it before the evidence even shows who. It destroyed an innocent man's life for over a decade. And at the center of it all is a 2-year-old boy who watched his mother die on a Wednesday morning in a public park and then wandered through the trees looking for help.
Oh my gosh, that's sad.
I warned you.
Mm-hmm.
This is an awful one.
Hmm.
So it has a lot of moving parts. There's the murder itself. There's a botched investigation and a deeply unethical sting operation. And an innocent man who spent 13 months in prison. And the actual killer who's been flagged to police multiple times but walked free anyways.
Holy.
And then there's the family, the father trying to protect a traumatized child while the whole world was watching. So let's get into it. So Rachel Jane Nickell was born on November 23rd, 1968, Sagittarius.
Nice.
In
You go,
Essex, England.
Okay.
She grew up in the village of Great Totham near Colchester. I know I'm saying these names wrong. I know. I looked them up.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to say them with the accent. And
Say Worcestershire real quick.
Worcestershire.
No.
What is the actual word?
It's Worcestershire. Worcestershire sauce is how it was spelled.
Yeah.
It's Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
There you go. Say it like that forever now.
It'll never happen again. Her father, Andrew, was an army officer, and her mom was named Monica. I couldn't find what she did. Rachel was, by most accounts, a genuinely good person in a non-performative way. She volunteered with elderly people in her community as a child, and she helped out with disabled children in the area.
Oh, nice.
And at Colchester High School for Girls, she got involved in acting, singing, and dancing at the Essex Dance Theatre, and her teachers thought that she was a natural performer. But Rachel didn't pursue that path. She was more academically focused, and she went on to study English and history.
Wow, that's cool.
To support herself at university, she took a job as a lifeguard at a swimming pool in Richmond, London.
Nice.
And that's where in 1988, she met Andre Hanscom. Andre was a motorcycle courier and a semi-professional tennis player.
Oh, sweet.
Cool.
Yeah, she did pretty well.
Yeah. They got together and fairly quickly found out that Rachel was pregnant.
Oh, we know what happened.
Mm-hmm. They built a life in Balham, South London, and in 1989, their son Alex, was born. Rachel made a deliberate decision after Alex arrived. She had stepped back from modeling.
Oh, wow. She did it all.
I know.
Holy.
She'd been offered work and she'd appeared in some magazines. And she left university and she became a full-time mom. According to everybody who knew her, that was exactly what she wanted. She wasn't drawn to the glittery version of life. She wanted a quiet, happy family. And she had the simple things that she cared about. She had Alex. She had Molly, which was their rescue border collie.
Of course it was.
Which I think is pronounced collie. But that seems wrong to me. It's like how dachshunds are dachshunds.
You've lost me now. I don't know. You were just trying to show off because I taught you Worcestershire.
Mm-hmm. Correct. She had a life that she'd built from scratch in South London. There's one detail that came out more recently from a 2026 interview that Alex gave to The Times that adds another layer to who Rachel was in those final years. About a year before her murder, Rachel had become pregnant again, and she and Andre decided to have an abortion. Financially and practically, raising another baby in South London at that point felt like too much. But Alex said in that interview, "My mother never really recovered." She grieved that decision even while she was also reportedly in the early stages of yet another pregnancy when she died. So in July 1992, Rachel was 23 years old, and she was grieving, again, something very private, and she was also possibly hoping for something new. She was walking her dog on a Wednesday morning with Alex. Now, Wimbledon Common is not what most people picture when they hear the word park. It's over 1,100 acres, of woodland, grassland, ponds, and paths in southwest London. It's wild in places and has secluded trails that disappear into heavy tree cover. Um, Anybody born in Calgary, I feel like, or lived in Calgary, I feel like it's Fish Creek. You
Okay.
can get so lost there so quickly.
Yeah.
Rachel walked there regularly. It was very close to their home, and she knew the paths, and she had taken Alex and Molly there countless times. On the morning of July 15th, 1992, she got up and did exactly that. She got Alex ready, grabbed Molly's lead, which is what they call it,
Yeah.
leash.
I got it. Thanks. That was.
I know you have like UK people in your family, so I'm like, just in case. And they headed out. So Alex again was 2 years old, and he would turn 3 in October.
Mm.
They were moving through a more secluded stretch of the common when a man attacked. What followed was extreme violence. Rachel was sexually assaulted and stabbed 49 times in the neck and torso. One of the wounds was so severe that she was nearly decapitated. The attack was
Holy
frenzied and
moly.
targeted. The killer left Alex there, like physically unharmed.
Well, thank goodness, but geesh, that's a
Yeah.
horrible thing to witness.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Out of
49.
nowhere. Like just, it's literally a
Jeez.
horror movie.
It is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He left Rachel's body where it fell and disappeared. A passerby found Alex not long after, and he was clinging to his mother's blood-soaked body.
Of course he would. He's little. Oh, that hurts my heart.
Mm-hmm. He kept repeating, "Wake up, Mummy."
Yeah, of course. He doesn't know what's happening.
At some point, he had found a piece of paper and placed it on her forehead, apparently trying to make a bandage for her. He was doing what a 2-year-old does. He was trying to fix it.
Yeah.
He was the only one there, and Rachel was already gone. The response was fast. Police arrived very quickly, and the scene, of course, was devastating. One forensic photographer who processed the crime scene later reported having to take 2 full years away from work to recover from what he saw.
Aw.
Alex was taken to the police station. When Andre arrived to collect him, he told his son that there had been a terrible accident. Alex's reaction, as Andre later described it, was striking. He didn't ask any questions. He didn't cry. He just had a look in his eyes that Andre said told him everything. I already know that. You don't have to explain it to me.
Mhm.
Alex never asked where his mom was ever again. The nightmares, however, started immediately. For years afterwards, Alex couldn't sleep for more than an hour at a stretch, and Andre described the episodes as leaving his son in a nearly catatonic state. Like at 2.
Yeah, because he wouldn't be able to process it, so he internalized it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
nightmares.
So sad.
It's awful. So the thing about Alex as a witness, again, he was 2 and he had seen and retained more than anybody had expected. Police did bring in a child psychologist named Jean Harris Hendricks to help facilitate questioning. Over several sessions held in the months following the murder, Alex provided details. He remembered a stranger that had been walking towards them, and it was a man with a black bag over his shoulder, and he said the man had grabbed him and thrown him to the ground. His face dragged through the mud, and then a few seconds later, his mom collapsed beside him. Incredibly articulate for like a 2-year-old. He remembered the man washing blood from his hands in a nearby stream, and he watched him walk away into the distance, he said, like a ghost. There was also a very specific physical detail. The man was wearing a belt on the outside of his white shirt. That's what the 2-year-old Alex retained and was able to communicate. However, after several sessions, Alex became visibly upset and frustrated, and he told the adults that he was done speaking about it.
Fair.
Police waited 3 full weeks after the murder before they even began this process. So the only eyewitness to a homicide, and he wasn't questioned for 3 weeks, which I get. Like, it's probably, I'm assuming they were probably debating. Like,
See, and I think you'd want to do it right away before your brain starts playing tricks on you.
I think so too, but they're like,
But also, it's a 2-year-old. And
yeah, I'd be sitting on the fence for
what
them.
year was this? 90s?
1992?
Yeah, because he was born in 89, and you said he was like 2-ish. He'd
Yeah,
turn 3
1992.
soon. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I see both sides. I think like the right calls to question him quicker, but I think they also were probably, I'm guessing, worried about traumatizing a 2-year-old.
Retro, yeah.
Yeah, re-traumatizing. Meanwhile, back on Wimbledon Common, the investigation was already going in a direction that would take 16 years to course correct from. The murder got enormous press coverage immediately because Rachel was young and she was beautiful and a mom who was killed in broad daylight in a
In front of her
popular.
child, yeah.
Yeah. The British tabloids went all in. And like if you've not to like make light of this horrible case, but just if you've paid attention to like any of the royal family news and like how the tabloids speak about the royal family,
Mhm.
they are vicious.
Yeah.
Like if you think that like North American tabloids are awful, British tabloids are fucking insane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The Metropolitan Police were under enormous external pressure to close this fast. 32 men were questioned. And within months, investigators zeroed in on one person, Colin Francis Stagg. Colin was 29, he was unemployed, he lived in Roehampton, which borders Wimbledon Common, and he walked his dog there regularly. When police released a composite sketch, 4 witnesses called in to say that it looked like him.
Oh.
That was the foundation of the suspicion. There was no like forensic evidence that was tying him there. There was not like a specific witness that saw him. It was just these phone calls saying that a sketch looked like this guy.
And the child provided details for the sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
weak.
Metropolitan Police Detective Sergeant Paul Penrose later described their thinking. It certainly indicated that this wasn't a normal member of the public. There was something odd about him. Plus, of course, he fitted to a T the offender profile. Which brings us to the profile. Because there was no physical evidence from the attack, police brought in a criminal psychologist named Paul Britton. At the time, he was well known in UK law enforcement circles, having worked on several high-profile cases. Paul produced 2 profiles of the likely offender. Have you watched Criminal Minds?
Yes, the
Okay.
first few seasons.
Yeah. So the demographic profile said is a white male, 20s or 30s, probably lives alone, engages in isolated hobbies, and likely doesn't live far from the common. The sexual fantasy profile said the killer would be interested in the occult and knives and would have sexually sadistic fantasies. I don't want to like talk shit about this profession because I know, and like obviously the ones in this current day and age, they come up with like insanely good profiles.
Mhm.
That's a very vague one.
Yeah, and it was definitely developing science in the 90s, early
Yeah.
90s.
I
We
feel like
weren't there
I
yet.
could have told you that.
Yeah, well, but it seems very loose too,
Mhm.
because like especially the sexual desires one, you could describe a lot of people that read dark romance now that way.
Yeah,
They're not all criminals.
yeah, I'm like interested in the occult and knives. I'm like, wow,
Uh-oh.
you're one of the two. Like, oh, you get that's such a broad
It's a
stretch.
very broad brush to
Yeah,
paint people with. Yeah.
yeah, and like
They may or may not be. No.
and I think like because it started profiling, I think started in the 70s.
Yeah, and there would definitely be personality type. Like there would definitely be characteristics. I'm not
Mhm.
downplaying that for sure.
Yeah,
But this one seems pretty
broad.
loose. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Police looked at Colin and said, well, he matches because he lives alone and he previously corresponded with a woman through a Lonely Hearts column. A complaint had been made about some of the letters because they contained some content that some found strange or off putting, and to them, that was enough. Now, the problem was there was not a single piece of physical evidence that linked Colin to the murder scene.
Yeah.
So instead of stepping back and widening the investigation, police brought in Paul to help them figure out how to build a case against a man that they couldn't prove had done anything.
Holy.
Mm-hmm.
What an
Tunnel vision.
injustice. Don't like
I
that.
think, and this still happens in so many cases now.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. There's a few examples of it for sure.
Yeah, where cops and detectives just really want to focus in and they just want to solve the case because there's some sort of pressure.
Hmm.
It's never the right call. It's
No,
never
it's
worked
not.
out.
And it's sad because you
Yeah.
always put someone away that was innocent or harm someone in some way that was innocent.
And then the actual person that did it is just out there.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
What followed was one of the most criticized undercover operations in British policing history.
Hmm.
The plan, known as Operation Edsel, was designed by Paul and implemented by the Met's Special Operations Group, SO10. I'm sure it's said in a different classy way.
It's probably not.
So 10?
Maybe.
The
Oh, well.
idea was to send an undercover female officer to befriend Colin, establish a romantic connection, and try to either eliminate him as a suspect or get him to reveal something that would implicate him. The undercover officer's operational name was Lizzie James. She made contact with Colin by posing as a friend of the woman that he had previously corresponded with through the Lonely Hearts column, positioning herself as somebody who was more open minded, more adventurous, which in 1992,
Might not mean what it does now.
yeah, I don't know. Um, anyways, also in 1992, I don't think it was like strange to write a letter. I was
Yeah,
just a wee baby,
whatever.
but I don't think it was strange to write a
But
letter.
like in a column too,
Yeah.
that was more popular because they didn't have like chat rooms like we do now. Or
Chat rooms.
that was 90s. People were still corresponding through
Well, you
like
said chat
newspaper
rooms like we do now. I'm like, I don't know anybody that goes in a chat room.
I mean, like over the progression of time. Anyway,
I also remember about that like point in time before like Tinder and Bumble and all of these like new ways to meet people. There was the phone lines, and I specifically remember because I used to listen to like Country 105 like in the background,
yeah.
and they would have like a Country 105 dating line.
Really?
Yeah. So then they would
Interesting.
like call in,
Mhm.
and then sometimes they would like play it on the radio.
Oh,
I'm so curious if anybody's like met and married and like is still married.
yeah, maybe. Well, if you can get married off Tinder, you can get married off anything, I feel like.
Yeah, but like still a solid marriage from like those days.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Phone lines. Ah, good old days.
Good old days.
So this operation ran for 5 months. Over those 5 months, Lizzie wrote letters to Colin and she spoke to him on the phone. She met him in person.
Hmm.
And Paul's guidance shaped the operation's approach. The idea was to draw out these fantasies that would mirror the psychology of Rachel's killer.
Hmm.
If Colin's inner life matched the profile, so sadistic fantasies and violence, it would constitute psychological evidence of guilt. The letters started to get dark. Lizzie wrote about enjoying pain and wanting to be dominated, about violent scenarios, and she was essentially introducing the most extreme content that she could and waiting to see if Colin matched her energy.
That's not fair because he may try to impress her and
Yeah,
be like, yeah, sure, I'm into that.
everybody does that when they're dating.
Yeah, I'm also cool.
Yeah,
Please like me. Yeah, I get it.
I love hockey.
Please tell me more about what
Mhm.
was that Treasure Hunter Island show? Curse of Oak Island. Please tell me more about
Oh,
Curse of Oak
that's
Island.
for Neil. Okay. So like, tell me more about the History Channel, abandoned places. Here's what Colin actually did. He wrote back, and again, like you said, he engaged awkwardly and tentatively.
Mhm.
He'd been described by those who know the case as sexually inexperienced and socially isolated, but he was flattered by the attention of an attractive woman. And when she wrote about these dark fantasies, he mirrored them back in the most clumsy, desperate not to offend way possible.
Mm.
One account of the correspondence described him as responding to her escalating scenarios with something like dreams of drinking parsnip wine on a veranda, and then adding that he was sorry if he had overstepped.
What?
Yeah, like that was him. Also, what's parsnip wine?
Parsnip is like a carrot,
Yeah, does that make wine?
I guess. Or is it just describing that it's as awkward as talking about parsnip wine? Is
Is
that what they
parsnip wine a
mean?
thing?
Mm. Dandelion wine is a thing.
Oh, God. Not the dandelions. People are using dandelions for too much shit.
Yeah. Did you know they started as like it was in salads
Yeah.
in the UK?
At one point, Lizzie and Colin met in person in Hyde Park, surrounded by undercover officers. They discussed the murder of Rebecca Nickell directly. So then there was also the recording. On tape, Lizzie tells Colin, if you had only done the Wimbledon Common murder, if only you had killed her, it would be all right. Colin's reply was, I'm terribly sorry, but I haven't.
Mm.
Um,
This
that's
poor
fucked
guy.
up. Yeah.
This poor guy. I feel bad for him.
Mm-hmm. But they arrested him anyways. Paul later said that he disagreed with the use of the specific fantasy-filled letters and claimed that he hadn't known about them until they had already been sent. Okay.
Mm.
Doubt it. The Met and Paul would spend years pointing fingers at each other over how much responsibility each held for the operation's design.
That's awful.
What's not disputed is that Colin never confessed, not once, not in the letters, not on the phone, not in the in person meeting, and not on tape. Police arrested him in August 1993, 13 months after Rachel's murder. I think I said Rebecca earlier. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I
No.
get Rebecca and Rachel confused. The stated justification was that the details he'd provided about the murder scene were known only to the killer, but that claim would not survive scrutiny.
Good.
Colin had never been arrested before. He later described the experience as being transported to a different world. He was held on remand for 13 months. The trial was scheduled to begin at the Old Bailey in September 1994, and it lasted one day. And Mr. Justice Harry Ognall, I'm so sorry, reviewed the evidence and the operation behind it and did not hold back. He ruled that the honey trap operation constituted entrapment and that
Good.
and the police had shown excessive zeal. And that the attempt to obtain evidence through Lizzie's correspondence was, in his words, deceptive conduct of the grossest kind.
Excellent.
He found that Colin's descriptions of the murder scene were not nearly as close to the actual facts as police had maintained, meaning that the central justification for the arrest did not hold up. And he excluded every piece of evidence generated by Operation Etzel as inadmissible.
Hmm.
Now, with that gone, the prosecution had nothing, because remember, they had no forensic evidence or witnesses. Colin was acquitted and walked out a free man. Now, it's worth saying he did spend 13 months in custody,
Yeah.
which is not like a short amount of time.
No, and he spent that time as an innocent man.
hmm He had not committed this crime, or really any crime, and the judge had just publicly stated that the police tried to frame him. But the British press continued to cover him as though he might still be guilty anyways.
What?
I'm telling you,
Nothing placed him there.
it's a
That's
British
horrible.
tabloids.
This poor
Um,
man.
Canada has a very similar kind of sting, and it's called the Mr. Big sting. It's heavily scrutinized.
It should be, I think.
I should cover a case with it because it's quite messed up. But basically, like the RCMP, somebody in the RCMP will come and pose, and they'll start to they'll basically come to the suspect, whoever they think the suspect is,
Mhm.
and they'll go up to them and start to make friends, and then get them to do odd jobs and kind of start to insinuate hey, this is part of a gang.
Oh.
You're doing a really good job. I'm really butchering the description of this. We want you to move up in the ranks here, but you have to meet the boss, Mr. Big.
Mm.
And then they bring in this guy, and then Mr. Big is like, hey, I heard that you have police looking at you for this murder, this crime, whatever. You have to be honest with me and tell me everything. Otherwise, I'm going to get in trouble here. I can't, I need to know who my people are, that kind of thing. This
Mm.
whole gang sting. And then people have falsely confessed to that because they're
Do you
like,
wanna impress them?
yeah, they want to impress them.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you're in this criminal organization. And this sting costs taxpayers so much fucking money, and it rarely ever works out.
It's not effective.
No, it's not effective at all. But every country seems to have it. It's very fascinating to me.
Hmm.
I digress. At least that was a relevant tangent. The tabloids had spent over a year constructing a narrative around Colin as a murderer. His face was everywhere. People knew who he was. The judge throwing out the case because of police misconduct did not read the same as innocent, apparently.
That's crazy.
Colin had described himself in interviews as Britain's most hated person.
Aw.
Throughout the period that followed, he was followed on the street, he couldn't get or hold a job, and the connection to the Nickell case made him, in his own words, almost unemployable. His social world effectively ceased to exist. And then there was Keith Petter. Keith was the lead detective on the case. After the acquittal, Keith did not quietly accept the outcome. In a 2001 ITV documentary, years after Colin had been cleared already, he said on camera, Colin Stagg has been through a version of justice, albeit truanced, and he has been found not guilty. But I wonder whether he can actually say hand on heart that he believes people will meet him in the street and believe that. I do not believe the system served anybody that particular day.
No. He's a bad person.
Yeah. A senior detective publicly implying 7 years after an acquittal and after a judge had said this guy's totally innocent was probably saying that this guy was probably still guilty is very messed up.
Yeah.
Petter eventually took early retirement from the force, and he later faced corruption charges of his own, and the case was thrown out in a pretrial hearing for insufficient evidence.
Mm.
Paul, the psychologist, was charged with professional misconduct by the British Psychological Society, and those proceedings were eventually dropped in 2002 due to delays in bringing them. Lizzie James took early retirement as well from the force in 1998 at the age of 33.
Wow.
She sued the Met for psychiatric injury sustained during the operation and received £125,000 in an out-of-court settlement in 2001.
Fair.
Her solicitor said that the payout reflected the Met's recognition that she had sustained serious psychiatric injury throughout her involvement.
Mm-hmm.
For context, at the same time, Alex Hanscom, Rachel's son, who was 2 years old when he saw this all, received only £22,000 from Criminal Injuries Compensation Authority.
That's awful.
So the undercover officer who ran a honey trap got 5 times more than Rachel's own child who witnessed the fucking murder of his own mom.
Mm-hmm.
Outrageous. Now, who was actually walking free? Let's get into it. Robert Clive Napper was born on February 25th, 1996, Pisces, in Erith, London, and he grew up in Plumstead in southeast London. And the picture of his childhood that emerges from the psychological and legal record is grim.
Okay.
His dad was reportedly abusive towards his mom. They divorced when Robert was 9. He and his siblings were placed in foster care for a period, and at school, he had no friends, was bullied, and became increasingly withdrawn, obsessively tidy, and reclusive. He bullied his younger siblings. There are also accounts of him spying on his sister.
Ew.
When he was 12, he was sexually assaulted by a family friend. The offender was convicted, but the damage was done.
Yeah.
His mom, Pauline, was concerned about him early on and did seek psychological assessment for him, where he would eventually be diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and Asperger's syndrome.
Oof. Okay. Double whammy.
By the time those diagnoses were formalized, he had already been committing violence against women for years. In 1986, he came to police attention when he was convicted of an offense involving an air gun. So, I think you know what that is, yeah. That was the first flag. So it was minor, but the first thing. The serious escalation started in August of 1989. A woman in Plumstead was getting her kids ready for school. She had left the back door open, and she turned around after drying her hair and found a man in her kitchen with a knife. He was threatening her and her children if she didn't comply. She was sexually assaulted at knife point in front of her kids. That was Robert. In late 1989, Robert confessed to his mom. He told Pauline, his mom, what he had done, and Pauline believed him and called the police.
He told his mother that he raped a woman at knife point in front of her children. Wowzers.
She told him that her son had admitted to committing a rape on Plumstead Common. Police took the call, and they looked for a matching crime in their records, but they couldn't locate one that found the information given. The house backed onto Plumstead Common, but it had been recorded as an indoor assault rather than a common attack. The tip was not matched to an existing case, so Robert was not questioned and no statement was taken from Pauline. And at that point, Pauline had cut off contact with her son entirely. For fuck's sakes.
How do you fuck that up? It's like they didn't look hard enough.
Literally, okay, it doesn't match something. I'm sorry, if somebody's calling you with an allegation that big.
And he admitted to it. Look harder.
Look a little, if you just broadened your search parameters just a little bit.
Yeah.
You could have probably found what she was talking about. You absolute fucking
It's like talking to a child about where their hairbrush is. You're like, did you
God.
check all the places your hairbrush usually is?
The IPCC would later review this and state clearly that police should have questioned Robert in
no
person.
way. Stupid.
After the tip and should have taken a formal statement from his mom. But they didn't. And they described that failure as a missed opportunity that could have prevented multiple murders.
Multiple, you say?
hmm
Hmm.
From 1989 onwards, the attacks continued. In March 1992, 4 months before Rachel's murder, Robert attempted to rape two separate 17-year-old girls on the Green Chain Walk 1 week apart. In May 1992, he raped a 22-year-old woman in front of her child. The Green Chain Walk is a roughly 50-mile network of connected parks, fields, and paths in southeast London. Between 1989 and 1994, at least 70 sexual attacks were recorded in the area.
Holy.
I know. The attacker was known by investigators as the Green Chain Rapist, and Robert is believed to have committed most or all of them.
Wow.
Here's where it all connects. The Green Chain rape investigation had a suspect pool, and Robert did come up in that pool. Investigators looked at him, but they said, that's not him, because witnesses had described an attacker of approximately 5'7", and Robert was over 6 feet tall.
That's stupid. That's the
I'm laughing
dumbest
'cause it's
thing
like,
I've heard. Well,
it's so
second
absurd.
dumbest thing I've heard today. Also, you're being attacked. Oh, wait a second. How tall would you say you are?
Yeah.
I was wrong. So dumb.
Shucks.
Guess I'll never find you. Like, how stupid.
I know. It's just stupid. Anyways, there were conflicting witness accounts of the attacker's height, and Robert also walked with a pronounced stoop. But police drew a hard line anyways. So if you were over 6 feet, you were out. You were free and clear. While the
I have
Metropolitan...
notes. I have notes on this investigation.
I know. While the Metropolitan Police were spending £3 million of public money running a 5-month psychological honey trap on an innocent man, the person who actually killed Rachel, per multiple witness accounts and his own admission, was actively raping women in southeast London in front of their kids.
Most like there's a theme here,
Mm-hmm.
and he could have easily been caught.
So weird. The connections between the crimes, the location, the extreme violence, the sexual nature should have prompted investigators to look at Rachel's murder in the context of the Green Chain attacks, but they did not because they were too focused on Colin. On November 13th, 1993, Robert broke into the home of Samantha Bissett in Plumstead. Samantha was 27 and her 4-year-old daughter Jasmine was in her home with her. What Robert did in that house was beyond what I will fully describe here. Samantha was stabbed over 30 times. She was raped. Her body was mutilated. He removed a portion of her uterus and took it with him as a trophy.
What?
The crime scene was so extreme that the forensic photographer who processed it also had to take extended leave. So that's
Well,
2.
yeah, he took part of her insides with him.
Yeah.
That's insanity.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like a finger or a toe. He went inside of her, cut part of her out, and kept that. That's gruesome.
Yeah.
Wow. That's shocking.
When I get into like the classic serial killer cases, you're gonna, boy, you're in for a ride. Then Robert went to Jasmine's bedroom. So she was 4 years old. I'm so sorry for this part.
I'm already mad at you.
He sexually assaulted and suffocated Jasmine.
It suffocated her.
He tucked her into bed, covered her up, and surrounded her with toys, leaving her as if she was sleeping.
Ew, what a psychopath. Ugh.
This case is so infuriating.
Yeah,
because
they
like, he
caught
could have
him.
been caught. Because like at this exact moment in time, Colin was in custody awaiting trial.
Yeah, but crimes were still happening.
Yeah.
Along the same lines. Like, how stupid.
Everybody on this case is a fucking idiot.
Yes.
So what was different about the Bissett crime scene was that Robert made a mistake.
Good.
He left a fingerprint. Forensic investigators did recover it. In May 1994, the same month that Colin was finally released on bail, Robert was arrested. In October 1995, he was convicted of the murders of Samantha and Jasmine at the Old Bailey, and he was given an indefinite hospital order, and he was sent to Broadmoor. In December 1995, with Robert now in Broadmoor, police went and questioned him about Rachel's murder. He denied involvement, and with that denial and no physical evidence connecting him to Wimbledon Common, the Nickell case was again filed away, and the case went cold. While this is all happening, like in regards to the case. There was a man that was trying to raise a traumatized child alone
Mhm.
with no justice and no resolution, and enormous media apparatus that treated his family as content. In the months immediately after Rachel's murder, Andre was trying to hold things together while simultaneously managing police questions, press intrusion, and a 2-year-old who's having nightmares so severe that he couldn't sleep. The police investigation provided no comfort because investigators were focused only on Colin, meaning nobody was actively pursuing the real killer, which meant that as far as Andre knew, whoever murdered Rachel was still out there and still free.
Mhm.
The only witness to the crime was his son. In 1996, 4 years after the murder, Andre made the decision to leave England entirely, which I get.
Yep, fair.
He moved with Alex to rural France. In his memoir, The Last Thursday in July, published the same year, he wrote about being driven out by relentless media intrusion. Reporters tracked them down even in rural France. He called some of them callous, mercenary, unfeeling, cowardly, sniveling scum. Those are his exact words, and I agree with them.
Mhm.
What he built for Alex in France was, as best he could, the life that Rachel had wanted: nature, space, big skies, animals, chickens roaming, sunsets, and for a time it did work. He described some that time as some of their golden years.
Mm,
Later, the family ended up moving to Barcelona, Spain, where both of them live.
nice.
Alex's teenage years were very hard.
Obviously.
The nightmares persisted, and he went from a child who couldn't sleep to an angry teen who directed a lot of anger towards his dad.
Mhm.
He left school at 16 and he worked briefly as a car mechanic before eventually moving back to the UK to train as a session musician.
Mm.
He and Andre have spoken about the fact that a lot of Alex's teenage anger, in retrospect, wasn't really about anything that Andre had done. It was about being repeatedly forced to revisit the worst day of his life for police, journalists, documentaries, and whatever the media needed that particular year.
Well, and he would feel a bit of guilt too, and he wouldn't really know what all those feelings meant because
Hmm.
really he was 2.
Yeah.
And so the memory of that would be fuzzy at best, and then trying to like regurgitate it all the time, like
Yeah.
you would feel guilty that you didn't remember it.
Hmm.
Like, or you'd think you were misremembering because you were little, which
Yeah.
is fair.
And I think, like, from the videos and stuff that I watched, I think Audrey kind of took it on the chin. Like, he was a really good
Mhm.
parent.
Well, it seems like it. He tried to get him out of there.
Yeah, I
Did the
think
best he could.
that's exactly it. He did the best he could with what he had.
Mhm.
Um, every time there was a new development in the case, the family got dragged back into it. Starting in the early 2000s, Scotland Yard assembled a cold case review team for the Nickell murder. By this point, DNA technology had advanced significantly, and the
Mhm.
team intended to do a full re-examination of the physical evidence from the crime scene using methods that hadn't been available in 92.
Interesting.
In July 2003, it was reported that after 18 months of testing on Rachel's clothing, police had found a male DNA sample that did not belong to Andre or Alex.
Excellent.
The sample at that point was too small to make a definitive identification, but it was large enough to rule people out. In 2004, forensic scientists used a technique called low copy number analysis, ICN or LCN analysis, which allowed them to extract a partial male DNA profile from trace material on Rachel's underwear that had previously been undetectable. The profile was loaded into the National DNA Database and it matched Robert Nepper.
There you go.
Specifically, it matched Robert's profile as it existed in the system from the Bissett case, the same man who's already in Broadmoor, the same man who'd been questioned about Rachel's murder in December and denied it. In July 2006, a Scotland Yard team went to Broadmoor and spent nearly 2 days interviewing Robert.
Mm.
He was 40 and he had been in Broadmoor for over a decade, but he still denied involvement in Rachel's murder.
Well, his DNA was found.
The investigation continued with more forensic work and more analysis. And on November 28th, 2007, 15 years after Rachel's death, Robert was formally charged with her murder.
Excellent.
He appeared at Westminster Magistrates Court, hopefully that's right, in December, and he was granted bail on the condition that he remain at Broadmoor.
What?
Yeah. In January 2008, he pled not guilty. I just laugh. I'm like, what? Why? Why even bother?
Yeah, you're there anyway. Do they have
Um,
the death penalty there?
I don't think so. The
Yeah,
UK?
so you're just hanging out in a mental health facility anyway.
Yeah. The trial started in November 2008. On December 18th, 2008, Robert changed his plea. He pleaded guilty to the
Oh.
manslaughter of Rachel Nickell on the grounds of diminished responsibility. The legal distinction matters here. So, manslaughter on grounds of diminished responsibility means that the court accepted that his severe mental illness, paranoid schizophrenia, substantially reduced his responsibility for the act, or even the act itself was not in dispute. It's not the same as not guilty. It's an acknowledgement that he did it, but it's like an insanity plea.
Yeah, he shouldn't be held fully responsible for his
Mhm.
actions.
Mr. Justice Griffith Williams told Robert directly, "You are a very dangerous man."
Mm-hmm.
He was ordered to be detained indefinitely at Broadmoor. Dr. Natalie Pizzora, a psychiatrist from the hospital, told the court, "The possibility of release is highly unlikely. I could not envisage,
I'm with you.
it's a fancy word, that happening." At the same proceedings, the Metropolitan Police issued a formal public apology to Colin for the way that they had pursued and prosecuted him. 16 years
Yeah,
after his arrest, 8 years after the trial collapsed.
they'll
The,
destroy your life, but oh, sorry.
we're so sorry.
Yeah.
The Home Office had already confirmed in January 2007 that he would receive compensation. On August 13th, 2008, 4 months before the plea, that amount was set at £706,000,
Okay.
which is a lot of money, but to me, I'm like, that's not nearly enough to make up for like the years of torture that you were.
Yeah, and unemployability and. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
shitty.
You literally ruined his life.
Yeah.
Completely.
And he was young at the time.
Yeah. Rachel's parents, Monica and Andrew, released a victim impact statement at the conclusion of the proceedings that has always stayed with me here. They said, "For the last 16 years, many home videos have been given to them to help in their stories.
Mm-hmm.
Every time they appear to Rachel's friends and relations, they are like a kick in the stomach. Please, after today, do not use them. Please give her some peace.
Mm.
Thank you and goodbye." 16 years, and their main ask was to stop using our daughter's home videos in your news segments.
Yeah.
That's like a gut punch.
I know, that hurts my heart.
Mm. In June 2010, the Independent Police Complaints Commission released a formal report into the Metropolitan Police handlings of this entire case, and it is a genuinely damning document. The report described a catalog of bad decisions and errors that resulted in Robert remaining free long enough to kill Rachel, and then Samantha, and then Jasmine. It laid out the specific failures in order. So, the missed opportunity of the 1989 confession where Robert told his mom what he did.
Mm-hmm.
The second missed opportunity was the Green Chain rape investigation where his name came up, but his height didn't match. And then IPCC Commissioner Rachel, I'm not going to try this last name, Rachel C., said the police failed to sufficiently investigate after Napper's mom called the police to report that he had confessed to her that he had raped a woman, and inconceivably, they eliminated Napper from inquiries into the Green Chain rapes because he was over 6 feet tall. Without these errors, Robert Napper would have been off the streets before he killed Rachel and the Bissettes, and before numerous women suffered violent sexual attacks at his hands. There was also new information that came out through the IPCC inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
An ex-police officer came forward with information that Robert had been flagged as a serious threat to women by a police sergeant as far back as the mid-1980s,
Ay.
before any of these confirmed attacks.
We definitely fucked up there, didn't we, boys?
Yep. Another person reported that 2 months after Rachel's murder, he had overheard a conversation in a pub where Robert and a friend were laughing about the killing. You should find that friend.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean, laughing?
Yeah, another red flag.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That had been reported to the police and nothing had been done with it.
No, why would it?
I know. And perhaps the most stunning detail, a record on a police intelligence system showed that Robert had confessed to killing Rachel while detained at Broadmoor in 1997 or 1998, a decade before he formally entered his plea in court. That confession had been recorded, but it had not triggered a renewed investigation. It was just filed away.
I find this story exhausting.
Yeah. I know.
Like, I'm just tired. I'm like, of course that happened and you fucked it up again.
I'm telling you, everybody in this who investigated this case was an idiot.
Yeah.
Until, like, it got into the right hands, of
Yeah.
course.
I don't know how you call yourself an investigator if this is how it was handled. Like,
I don't think you should do that as a job.
yeah, I think find a new profession because it's not
Holy
working for
fuck.
you.
Yeah.
Wow. And like, don't get me wrong, it's a rough profession, but
Mhm.
these are big mistakes.
These are really
A
big
series
mistakes.
of big mistakes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, where's Colin now?
Mm.
Colin is now in his early 60s, presumably, and he lives in Farnborough, Hampshire, with his dog Taz.
Hmm.
The 706,000 pounds is gone. He's spoken openly about what happened to it. He spent a lot of it fast on vehicles and guitars and gifts for family and friends, people he thought he could trust. He said, "Some people I thought were friends turned their back on me when the money dried up."
Duh.
Yeah. In 2023, he was homeless.
Wow.
He is living in temporary accommodation where he wasn't always allowed to have Taz with him.
Hmm.
He said, "It's a terrible shock being homeless at my age. All I've ever wanted is a quiet life. I certainly didn't see myself spending my 60th birthday in a homeless hostel."
Oof. No.
He's been doing live appearances with a journalist and author John Ronson, who introduces him as a special guest, and Colin talks about what the honey trap did to him psychologically.
Hmm.
And he said that doing these shows have felt like therapy.
Maybe.
Hmm. And that talking about it in front of live audiences has helped him in a way that nothing else quite has.
Hopefully they pay him for it
Yeah.
reasonably
Yeah.
because obviously he needs it.
Alex Hanscom is 36 years old now. He lives in Barcelona with his dad. He's a yoga teacher
Oh my God.
and a hypnotherapist and a musician.
What?
I know, yoga teacher. I was like, no way!
And he lives in Barcelona? Tell me
Yeah.
more.
He studied graphology, which is the analysis of handwriting. He published a memoir in 2015 called Letting Go, a true story of murder, loss, and survival. He and Andre served as consultants on Netflix's The Witness, which has premiered. Will probably be out for like 2 weeks by the time this episode is out, as well as the accompanying documentary. I actually have not watched the documentary. Sometimes I think Netflix is in my brain or the brain of every millennial that likes true crime.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, I want to cover this case, and then
Sometimes I find them tiring though, like they over dramatize them. And I'm like, the story is already dramatic.
Mhm.
You didn't have to add any flair to it. I'm
Mm.
already here.
I agree. There's like a meme where it's like, if somebody sits on a chair within the first 30 seconds of a documentary, you know it's going to be good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I saw that too.
Yeah, and
Or
it's
maybe you
true.
sent it to me.
It's true. As soon as there's like a singular chair,
You're like,
yeah.
who died?
That's why Dateline is always good.
Okay.
There's always a chair. Maybe that's the key.
Maybe.
He has spoken about that morning in ways that are extraordinarily clear for somebody who's 2 when this happened. In a 2017 interview with The Sun, he said, "The moment I watched my mother's soul leave her body is one I will never forget. It's all remained engraved in my mind. It was a frenzied attack, but like a silent movie. Even today, almost 25 years later, I can see the film running inside of my mind." He remembered the killer washing off blood in his hands in the stream and walking away into the distance like a ghost. There was blood everywhere. Everything was silent. I said, "Get up, Mummy," and she didn't respond. And for the last time with all of my strength, I said, "Get up, Mummy." She didn't. At that moment, reality came crashing down. I was very young, but I knew that she was gone and never coming back. He told police that he was done talking about it at the age of 2 and then spent the next 30 years being asked over and over and over again to talk about it. By 2017, visiting Wimbledon Common on the 25th anniversary of his mom's death, he knelt down and said a prayer. He thanked the universe for his blessings, and at the exact moment, he heard somebody in the distance calling a name. "Molly, Molly," the name of Rachel's dog. The man was calling out to his own dog, who happened to share the same name. And Alex said, "The coincidence in this happening, it's all there for a reason."
I wish they had left it and they didn't find a person. He just heard someone calling Molly.
Ah, yeah.
That would have been more dramatic.
Yeah. But I mean,
Oh, it's that guy.
yeah.
Still a nice story.
I don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like, maybe that was his mom, you know?
Yeah, it was so close.
Yeah. I don't know. Just little things like that.
Yeah, it is nice.
He said that he forgave Robert before he ever knew who Robert was. He said,
No.
putting him behind bars brings me no satisfaction. I'd forgiven my mom's killer long before I knew it was Robert. He's also been clear about the limits of what the conviction meant for him. He said, we were ultimately forced to find our own closure, and I think that that's actually a good thing. It was the realization that you have no choice but to make peace with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he did a really good job healing from it.
This man is emotionally mature.
Yeah.
That is an incredible way of
Yeah.
dealing with that.
That's like the best case scenario for him turning out that way.
I agree. He's spoken about what he wants the legacy of all of this to be, not the conviction or the compensation or police reform. He said the police did make a series of mistakes. I believe the same would happen now, sadly. Their mistakes led to over 80 women being assaulted. For as long as there is a culture of dark corridors in the police force, I feel that terrible mistakes like those in my mom's case will happen again.
Hmm.
In a 2026 essay for the Times, he wrote, my mother gave me everything when she was alive, and she sacrificed herself to protect me. And my father sacrificed his life without any guarantees to honor his promise to her to look after me. We made mistakes, but we made it through. I can't thank him enough. He still has a bottle of Coco by Chanel that belonged to Rachel, and he has her jewelry and photographs.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Ugh, so heartwarming.
Mm.
Robert is in his late 50s, I think also early 60s. And he remains at Broadmoor Hospital in Berkshire, where he has been since his 1995 conviction.
Mm-hmm.
He is not expected to ever be released. Broadmoor has housed some of the most notorious criminals in UK history. Peter Sutcliffe, which was the Yorkshire Ripper, spent 32 years there. Ronnie Cray was there. And it is not a prison in the traditional sense. It is like a high security psychiatric
I'm
facility.
surprised it's still running.
Mm-hmm. But people do not walk out of it easily, and Robert will not. He's actually also admitted to attacking 4 additional women during all of the 2008 proceedings. So
Awesome.
that's it for him. So
Is there an
yeah.
update on the dad?
I think the dad still lives in Barcelona, and that's pretty much it.
Oh, just the kid did so well. I hope that he found happiness.
Mm-hmm. I hope so. So yeah, like I said, Netflix has released The Murder of Rachel Nickell, which is a documentary alongside a 3-part dramatization called The Witness, which premiered on June 4th.
It was about the son?
Well, Alex and Andre consulted on the dramatization, so it's as close to their version of events
Okay.
as anything that's been ever put on screen.
Mm-hmm.
I will put all of the links to like the books and the memoirs and everything in the show notes if I remember.
Mm-hmm.
I hope to remember, but that's the case. That's awful.
I'm tired.
Yeah,
sad.
that was a terrible case.
I'm really impressed with how the son turned out.
Me too.
That is pretty significant.
And watching him in interviews, first of all, him and his dad are twins.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just a tragic case. And like, I think it's good to talk about like how often police can really get it wrong when they tunnel vision a case.
Yeah. You have to keep all options open.
And
an open mind.
Yeah, it ruins like everybody's life. Anyways.
Everyone involved. Yep.
That took a lot out of me. And took a lot out of you, but
yeah. It was an emotional roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad the son was okay.
I agree. I think everybody handled it as best as they could.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
It's a true story of, I think, the human spirit.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah. Sorry for ruining your day.
Bye.
Bye.